Hello and welcome to our live crafting session today. My name's Jenny McCormack and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire here in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me. It's a beautiful morning this morning, a little bit breezy, but we had some lovely weather over the weekend. A few rain showers and a little bit of thunder, but not too much to speak of. And it looks like it'll be fairly bright today, but definitely not as warm as it has been. So welcome if you're joining us for the first time. Do say hi and let me know that you're watching. It's always lovely to know who's watching with us. If you're watching on replay or on catch up, whether that's here on Facebook or on YouTube, if you have any questions or queries, pop them in the comments section and I will get back to you with an answer. I do try and watch those and keep an eye on them on a regular basis. Sometimes they slip through the net. So good morning to you, Catherine, and good morning, Heather. Lovely to have you both join us. And anybody else who's watching who hasn't said hi. So this is our latest stamp set of the week, and this means that I choose a stamp set for the week. There may be other products that go alongside with it. In this case there are some matching dies, and I go live 4 days of the week to show you some different ideas with this particular stamp set, to give you lots of variety and suggestions on how you could use it. If you order the stamp set of the week during the week that I'm demonstrating it, I do include all of the components for the cards that I create during my live, so you'll get all the card bases, any die cuts. Obviously you don't get the stamped images, but if I use any ribbon or anything else like that, that is included, and I send that to you free of charge. This also happens to be the stamp set that I'm using for our class of the class in a box, both in person and online. I just think it's a really fun, versatile stamp set. Everybody loves balloons. I had to say I don't like balloons in real life, but I'm quite happy with balloons on cards. Hi Glenda, I hope you're keeping well. Lovely to have you join us. So you can find this particular stamp set on page 14 and 15 of our annual catalogue. That's this one here. And there's some great ideas, especially with the dies, which I'll be introducing later in the week. There are some papers that go with it, but you could absolutely use those papers on their own. They don't require the stamps or anything. It's just a nice combination of papers. We have some acetate and we have the dies. So the stamps, as you can see them, consist of assorted balloon shapes and sizes. There's an infill here that matches one of the dies. We've got a nice birthday sentiment. Let's get our celebration on. I think it's time for a celebration is a really good sentiment as well. And then you've got these banners, some strings and sort of sprinkles and things like that. So let's get cracking with our coffee and cards design. So we'll be doing this afternoon in Toaster and also tomorrow in Brackley. We did it on Friday in Brackley and it went down really well. Everybody really enjoyed the session. So I have die cut some of the balloons. So what we're going to do for our card is stamp the large balloon and then 2 smaller ones, and then we're going to add a few that I've already die cut, and we've got a sentiment here at the bottom. So there are various dies that cut the balloons out, and I've chosen to match for coffee and card with the fun gingham papers. So they're called, it's called Glorious Gingham, and there are 5 colours that I use in here. So we have Blueberry Bushel, we have Lemon Lime Twist, Pretty Peacock, berry burst and pecan pie, and you have a wide gingham on one side and then a narrow gingham on the other. So most people like gingham, and I thought it was perfect for die cutting the balloons, as you can see here. So I pre-cut some of the balloons ready for coffee and card. Hi Carol, thanks for joining us. So we are using a note card and envelope, as I often do for coffee and card, and this is because I don't know how many people will be at any given coffee and card, and that means I can just have an extra pack ready. And I've just got a piece of white card that is cut. This is measured in inches. Normally I measure in centimetres excuse me, but because the card measures 3.5 by 5 inches when it's folded, I just measure the piece that I'm going to stamp on in inches as well. So that is 3.25 by 4 3/4. And of course I can't see, I'll just use a block. I can't see my bone folders. I think they're all packed ready. So I'll just use a block. Just make sure your block's nice and clean if you do that. So we're going to be stamping onto this piece here, and the colours I've chosen are Blueberry Bushel, and as a lighter colour I'm using Balmy Blue, but you could use a contrasting colour. You don't have to keep it the same if you didn't want to. So let's grab the stamp. So I'm going to do the this lovely large balloon in the big bold Blueberry Bushel, like so. And then I'm going to stamp the next balloon down, and these balloons have got some nice little markings on them. Hopefully you'll see that. That's that one there. And then we also have some little strings, so if you're not very good at drawing, you can use the little string to attach to your stamped balloons. And then we also have some sentiments. So the sentiments that come with the set are quite extensive. You've got, I think it's time for a celebration. I like this one here, let's get our celebration on, that could go around the balloon. Happy birthday, you did it, so it's perfect for a graduation or celebration of some kind. Could be passing a driving test. Yeah, you, so thrilled for you. And as I say, you've got these additional items as well. So let's just make sure my stamp is clean to start with. So I hope everybody had a lovely weekend. I had a fairly busy weekend, but it was a nice combination of busy, productive and catching up with friends. Always a good combination. Right, the glass is off. I'm just going to grab a piece of grid paper just so that I can stamp off here. See what it looks like before I pop it onto my white card. So this is a nice solid stamp. If you've got a brand new ink pad, you may need to sort of move the ink around. So I'm just going to practice on here. Nice firm pressure. Yep, I'm happy with that. Okay. And obviously you could also stamp off to get a different effect. A few tiny little hairs on there. I'm hoping it'll be alright. So just going to pop this one up at the top. Like so. Good pressure. You could use this on a stamping platform if you wanted to, but it does give a really nice stamped image. Then I'm going to use the smaller one. While I've got the Blueberry Bushel ink out, I am going to put my sentiment across the bottom. And I do like this. I think it's time for a celebration. But obviously you could use just a happy birthday if you wished. And this worked really well for Coffee and Card on Friday, even though there were a lot of us, because some people could start with the sentiment, some people could start with the balloon, and because we were using die cuts, not all the stamps, people could just stamp the large one and then pass it round. So I do have to think about numbers and wait time at Coffee and Card. Obviously I don't want, and people are very patient, but you don't want to be sat there for 10 minutes before you start crafting. Okay, here's the next one down, so let's cover that one up. And then this is Balmy Blue, so I'm just using this as my lighter blue. And I'm just going to put one of these on either side. So I'll show you on here what my plan is, if I've got enough space, is to just stamp one, for example, here and here, something along those lines, like that. So let's have that one here, and then I'm going to use the die cuts for the final layer. There's that one there. And you don't really need to mask this, because if you think about them, balloons generally are translucent, so if you see a little bit of the other balloon through the first one, then it's absolutely fine. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stamp my strings at this point, because I'm useless at drawing little strings, and I like to do the strings in a lighter colour just so they don't detract really from the main part. If you have too dark a string, you tend to focus on that and not the balloon. So those are my strings there, and if you wanted them shorter, you could mask them off a little bit, or you could stamp them higher, entirely up to you. So I've got my 3 strings on there, my 3 balloons, and now I've got some die cut balloons that I'm going to add, and I've got 3 different sizes die cut. Now I'm going to keep this one all in blues, but just to show you the different sizes that I've got. So I've got this one here, and then we've got a medium size one, like so, and then a small one, and we've also got, there's a different one as well, if I can find it. There's one that cuts out this huge one. And there's some dinky little ones here that I've separated out so they didn't get lost, fingers crossed. Okay, so all I'm going to do, quite simply, is add the balloons on. And I think this one is going to be too big, although it would definitely work. So I'm just going to use, I suppose I could use a middle-sized one. And because I've got the gingham, it's got both sides. So you've got the small gingham and then the larger gingham. So I might just grab a middle-sized one. What have I just done with those? There they are. There we go. So, and I just picked out the ones from the papers because it was easier to sort of narrow down rather than cut lots of different plain card. So I've got this one that I can pop here, and these are going to go on dimensionals, and then maybe I'll do this one up here. Decisions. dear. It just feels a little bit too busy. So I am going to stick with those two, I think. Like that. Okay, so these are going to go up on dimensionals, which I've got just here. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. Of course, we're back here on Monday, but you may be watching this any day of the week, at any time. Such is the power of YouTube and Facebook. So I'm going to have this one on the other side, just as a little bit of a contrast. And this set actually features in our class, as I was saying before. So we've got gold balloons and the like. Okay, simple as. And obviously, if you didn't have the dies, you could just stamp 5 balloons. That would definitely work. So I'm going to layer this onto here. I'm going to pop a balloon on the inside, I think. Let's stamp the light one. Catherine had a quiet weekend. Well, that's probably no bad thing. We have a busy household. So let's pop this one here with a little string going off. Oops, daisy. And I might actually stamp the little one as well. Why not? Sure it's nicely inked up. There we go. As I say, having them overlap like that without masking it is absolutely fine. There we go. So we've got that on the front. You could put a birthday message on the inside if you wanted it to be a birthday, but it could be any congratulations card, really. It could be driving test, it could be exams, finishing exams, passing exams. Right, let's find my glue that I've buried. So there's lots of ideas for this particular set, and it is my stamp set of the week. There we go. So this is going to go on here. I could pop that on with dimensionals, but I'm going to leave that just with glue because I've got dimensionals on my balloons, and I know that it's quite a tight fit to get fit these cards into the envelopes. And then let's stamp the envelope up in the same way that I've done it on the inside, I think. Go. So I just use the balmy blue. So just going to have that one on the left, the smaller one just overlapping, and then I'll just add the strings and we're done. So this makes a really quick set of cards. It would be really a good set for an invitation to a party because you could stamp them really quickly. There we go. You could pop them on your stamp positioning tool and have a bunch of 5 different colours if you wanted to, for example. And then maybe final touch is add a little bit of bling and we're done. So let me move these out of the way. Move those there so you can see what we've created. So really quick and simple. There's the card, and that's the inside with the 2 balloons, and then the coordinating envelope. Let me grab some bling. It's already in my bag. Let's see what I've got here that might do the job. They will do. Perfect. Looking for my Take Your Pick tool. Oh, I'm very excited actually, because just come into stock are the new Take Your Pick tool accessories, and one of those items is a perforating tool, so that you can perforate cards, which is perfect for an RSVP. You can just use a ruler and roll it along, and then people can tear that off. I can't see my Take Your Pick tool, so I'll just use some scissors, and I'll just use these ones here. Oh. So I shall be ordering mine today. They came into stock last week, I think. Let's put one up here and one over here. You could put them on the balloons themselves as well if you wanted to. And there we go, that's our finished card. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Glenda. So all done and dusted, and for once I'm in time. 10:23, that's not bad, because I was probably nattering for 3 minutes. So there we go, there's the first, using our new stamp set of the week, Beautiful Balloons. Oh, thank you, Heather, that's really sweet. It's just fun, fabulous, and look, I'm going to use these I think tomorrow, because I haven't used those at all yet. So thank you for joining me. I shall be back. Now that's a good point. I will be back tomorrow, but I may be out in the evening watching my daughter in a top level polo match. So I have coffee and cards in the morning. So I might need to post when I'm going to do my live. So it probably won't be 7 because I won't be back in time. So I'll either do it later or maybe mid-morning after coffee and cards. So maybe midday tomorrow. Yep, I'll do that. I'll do it midday tomorrow. Let's make that decision now. And then you won't be searching for me later. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon or evening ahead, depending on when you're watching and where you're watching from. Oh, thank you, Heather. That's very sweet of you. And I will catch up with you all really soon. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.